Nehemiah, we have some questions that have come in, and one states in the Encyclopedia Britannica, it says that we have a Greek manuscript from 200 A.D. or the Common Era that says Yahweh. So the Encyclopedia Britannica is telling us that his name is Yahweh.
Right. And what the Encyclopedia Britannica is actually saying isn't that there's a manuscript from 200 AD, but that there was a church father called Clement of Alexandria who wrote a book called the Stromata. And in the Stromata, he makes the statement that the name is Yahweh, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. And the argument goes like this. They say, well, Nehemiah, you found the name from the year 894 and 895. Those are your two earliest manuscripts with the vowels YAHWEH. But we have this evidence that predates that by 700 years from Clement of Alexandria, the church father. So when I heard this argument, I thought, well, that's interesting. Do we have a manuscript of Clement of Alexandria from the year 200 AD? Just because he lived in 200 AD doesn't mean we have that manuscript. Right. So I decided to find out what manuscripts exist of Clement of Alexandria's Stromata. And I found out there's only one single manuscript in existence of the Stromata itself, of this book of Clement of Alexandria.
So that was impossible to get a hold of, huh?
I got it, and I'm going to show it here for the first time.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Okay, all right. So this is what the Encyclopedia Britannica bases this on.
I can guarantee you they didn't see the manuscript I'm about to show the people.
Okay.
It's only been available for about a year, and with the help of this brilliant scholar in Greece who has a PhD on this topic of the Tetragrammaton, Dr. Vasiliadis, I was able to find the exact spot where Clement shows us how he believes the Jews pronounce the name. And he doesn't say Yahweh. Here it is. The people are seeing it for the first time. I've circled it, highlighted the place, and you can clearly see here the first letter there is an iota or a iota. Second letter is an alpha. Omicron, upsilon, that's like I-A-O-U. And it doesn't say Yahuweh, it says Yahu. Now, this was observed and discovered really in 1799 by a scholar in Torino, Italy, whose name was Didymus of Turin. And he remarks that Yahu, that's actually the ending that we have in many names, like Eli Yahu, Yeshai Yahu. Even my name, Nehemiah, is short for Nichem Yahu. We know that now from Hebrew inscriptions that were found in the city of David. So all he's doing here is giving you what apparently is the ending Yahu. And you can see it here for the first time. Here's the really interesting thing about this. This isn't a manuscript from the year 200 AD. It's from the 11th century. And it's the only manuscript of Clement of Alexandria's Stromata. So what they're doing here is a bait and switch. They're saying, oh, well, Nehemiah, your manuscripts are from 894, 895. We've got something from 200 AD. No, you don't. You have a manuscript from the year 1050 or something like that. What it said in the year 200 AD is anybody's guess because we don't have that document. And this is the type of thing that can potentially change over time. When you make copies of copies of copies, you know, you can lose the pronunciation of words, especially foreign words that they didn't know what they meant or how to pronounce them. Those are things that get corrupted over time. So you're seeing it here, this document. This is the only manuscript of Clement of Alexandria's Stromata in Florence, Italy. And if anybody tells you they have a manuscript from 200 AD with the of Clement of Alexandria's Stromata with the name Yahweh, they're lying. And in fact, I researched this. I'm not going to give away all my research because I'm gonna share more about that in a future study. So I'm gonna hold on to that. Okay. But the fact is, we don't have Yahweh from 200 AD. That's not what you actually have in any manuscript. And the manuscript that I have from 894 and 895, that's not a translation from some other language. That's the Hebrew preserved by those who preserve the oracles of God. And here's an interesting point, Michael. People will say, well, we can't trust those vowels that have the name YAHWEH. You know, those vowels, they were transmitted possibly orally until they were finally written down. Okay, no problem. Then don't say to me Shabbat Shalom. Say to me Shabuthu Shaluumu, right? Because every word you know in Hebrew comes from those vowels that you're saying you don't trust. The name Yeshua, maybe it's not Yeshua, maybe it's Yashawa'ah. Like, how do you know any word? How do you know it's Yerushalayim for Jerusalem? It could be, if you ignore those vowels that we have in the Hebrew Bible that were preserved by these Masoretic scribes in two different traditions, Babylonian and Tiberian, then you're in the river without a paddle. Anything's possible. You know, you literally don't know how to pronounce any word in the Hebrew language, and instead of calling you Michael, Michael, I'm going to call you Ma'ayacha'ala. I mean, you know, it could be anything really, right? So why is it that you trust these other vowels? You trust the words Shabbat and Yeshua. And I guess there's people who don't trust the vowels of Yeshua. Can we talk about that? I think we have a question about that, about the vowels of Yeshua.
Okay.
I feel like that's a good segue.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, so somebody asked here about the vowels of Yeshua, and how do we know if those are trustworthy vowels? And what's interesting is there's never in the history of the Jewish people been a debate about how to pronounce the name Yeshua. And why is that? Because Yeshua is a name that was never forbidden to speak in reference to other people in history named Yeshua. In other words, we have Joshua the son of Nun, who was named by his mother or father Hosea, and then his name was changed, we're told by Moses in the book of Numbers, to Yehoshua. And then we're told in Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 17, that he was called Yeshua. Yeshua is simply Yehovah, Yoshia, Yehovah saves. That was the name of Joshua. I mean, it'd be like if I called you Mike instead of Michael, right? That is the relationship between Yeshua and Yehoshua. It's maybe an endearing term, maybe a more beloved term. Maybe that's why Yeshua is called that. It might also be for linguistic reasons having to do with the Hebrew in certain parts of the Galilee. I won't go into that. In any event, Yeshua is simply a name that nobody ever had any doubt about. And the same thing with Yehoshua, which is the full form of that name. That's just the Hebrew behind Joshua. I was with a friend in Israel, a Messianic gentleman, and we came across a street, and he saw on the street sign in Hebrew and English, it said Rechov Yehoshua, Yehoshua Street, and he got all excited. He said, "This proves that Jews know how to pronounce that name." I said, "Just talk to my cousin. His name is Yehoshua," and you know, you don't need to go to the street sign. It's a living language. Even when the language was dead, the names weren't dead. Meaning, and the reason we have questions about the name Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh is that was kept secret by a small group of people. But names like Yehoshua and Nehemiah and Michael, Michael, nobody ever had a dispute about how to pronounce those names. And so people who come along and say, well, it's Yahusha or Yahshua or Yahushua, I mean, that's pseudo-Hebrew. You can say anything you want, but that's not Hebrew as preserved by every Jewish community in the world for thousands of years, everywhere in all surviving documents.